Today we're going to talk about prime numbers and we're going to apply our knowledge by doing some activities. We are supposed to select the prime numbers out of the list of four. But first of all, what are prime numbers? It's very easy. If you know what factors are, you will be able to tell for sure what prime numbers are. For example, 66. If we look at 66, we understand that this number can be divided by 1. It can be divided by 66 by itself. And if we are looking for more numbers, it can be divided. Can it be divided by 6? Yes. Can it be divided by 3? Yes. So this number can be divided by 1, by 3, by 6, and by 66, which means it has 4 factors. And it's not a prime number because prime number must have only 2 factors. 2 factors only. So 66 is not the prime number. But let's look at another number that will definitely be a prime one for us to see the difference. If we pick up 103, can we divide 103 by 2? No, it's an odd number. It cannot be divided by 2 equally. Can it be divided by, can it be divided by, let's say, 3? Let's check. 1 plus 3 is 4, and 4 cannot be divided equally by 3. So 103 cannot be divided equally by 3. But it can be divided by itself, and it can be divided by 1. We haven't found any other factor that it can be divided by. That's why it has only 2 factors, the number itself and factor 1. Let's look at number 137. 3 plus 7 and plus 1 is 11. And 11 cannot be equally divided by 3. And since the number is odd, it cannot be divided equally by 2. But it can be divided by itself and can be divided by 1. It cannot be divided by 5 because it doesn't end in 5. And 11 cannot be divided by 3 or 9. That's why this number is prime. Again, prime numbers have only 2 factors, the number itself and 1. 66 is not a prime number because it can be divided by itself, 66 by 1, plus by 3 and 6 at least. Let's look at number 129. It cannot be divided by 2 because it's an odd number, but we have to check number 3. We have to check if factor 3 works. 1 plus 9 and plus 2 is 12. 12 can be divided equally by 3. That's why 129 can be divided equally by 3. Since it has already 3 factors, we found factor 3 as an additional factor. It's not a prime number. The prime number out of the list is 103 and 137 because they can only be divided by 1 and by itself. Let's move forward. All right now we're talking about composite numbers. Again, composite numbers are numbers that are not prime numbers. If we find any additional factor starting from 2, it's already a composite number. So composite numbers might have 3 factors, 4 factors, 5, 6, or 7, but not only 2. So 113 is not a composite number because it can be divided only by itself and by 1. Can it be divided by 2? No, it's an odd number. Can it be divided by 3? 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5. No way. It cannot be divided by 3. Can it be divided by 5? No way. It doesn't end in 5. 121 and 141. It's a composite number. It can be divided by 11. 11 times 11 is 121. And 116. It gives us a hint that it can be divided by 3. 141 can be divided by 3 because we take 120 plus 21, and 21 can be divided by 3, right? So it's not a prime number because it can be divided by more factors than 2. It's not a prime number, it's a composite number, 121, because it can be divided more than by 2 factors. But 131 is a prime number. It's not a composite number. Why? Because it can only be divided by itself and 1, factor 1. Let's check. And now let's try to do it faster. We are now looking for prime numbers. Prime numbers. 81, I believe 81 is a perfect square. 9 times 9. So it has one additional factor, that is 9. So it's not a prime number. It has prime number. If it were a prime number, it would only have 81 and 1, but it has not. 110 is not a prime number because it can be divided by 10. You see here 0? So definitely it's not a prime number. It has more than 2 factors. 134 is not a prime number because it's a even number, which means it can be divided by 2. So at least it has 3 factors and it's already a composite number. It can be divided by itself, by 1, and by 2. But 73 cannot be divided by 2. 7 plus 3 is 10, so it means it cannot be divided by 3. If it's not divisible by 2 and 3, it definitely cannot be divided by 4 and 6. And the only prime number from the list is 73. Why? Because it can be divided equally only by 1 and by 73 by itself. Composite numbers. Composite numbers. Let's first say what numbers are prime. 41 and 73 are prime numbers. They cannot be divided by anything else but by 41 and 73 and 1. 63, 6 plus 3 is 9, and we know that 9 is a friend of 9 and 3. So 63 can be divided more for more factors. It has more factors than composite number. It has more than 2 factors. 83, 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 cannot be split into 3 equally. That's why we think that it's a prime number, right? Because if we divide it by 4, we can't because 80 and 4 will give us 84. It cannot be split by 4. It cannot be split by 2 because it's not a even number, it's an odd number. So the only composite number out of the list is 63.